So what happens when a guy who's both a high fashion designer and a bodyguard for A-list celebrities decides to build a dating app? Well, today we're going to find out. We are diving into the world of Paul Milana and his very, very exclusive and pretty controversial platform, Only Male/Men.
So, who exactly is Paul Milana? Well, he's a man of, let's say, interesting contrasts. On one hand, you've got the fashion world. He's designing high-end clothes. On the other hand, you have high-stakes security. He's protecting some of the biggest stars in the world. And that weird mix of style and security, well, that's absolutely the key to understanding his latest project.
You know, it's a combination that just doesn't seem to make sense at first glance, right? How does a creative mind, a designer, also end up being an elite bodyguard? But it's that exact unique blend of knowing aesthetics, control, and how to handle crazy, high-pressure situations that really sets the stage for everything that comes next. And when we say high profile, we mean it. I mean, his client list reads like the guest list for the Grammys. We're talking music superstars like Ed Sheeran and the legendary Blondie, and even stars from the massive global hit Drag Race. So yeah, this isn't just some side gig for him. It's a career spent right in the middle of these really intense, high-stakes worlds. Okay, so he's got this serious security background. What on earth pushes him to create a dating app? Well, according to Milana himself, the idea wasn't professional at all. It was deeply personal. He says a very specific and very long-term problem in his own life led him to design a very specific digital solution. And the reason he gives, in his own words, it's pretty startling. Milana says that for years, he was relentlessly stalked by a woman who identified as a gay man. He talks about it being this incredibly frustrating, long-running ordeal that even led to legal action. And ultimately, that experience is what convinced him that there needed to be a digital space with really, really clear and firm boundaries. So that whole situation directly led to this: Only Male/Men. The app is very clearly defined. It's designed to be a safe and exclusive space for what he specifically calls masculine homosexual males. It's built from the ground up on those ideas of security and exclusivity that he felt were just missing everywhere else. So the big question is, how does the app actually pull that off? You know, how does it enforce this idea of being this exclusive, super secure environment? All right, let's get into the actual mechanics of it. And this is where you can really see his security background come into play. The whole app is built around these unique layers of security. First, there's a strict biological male-only policy and user verification to try and weed out all the fake profiles. But then it gets interesting. He adds financial and social walls. There's a security deposit to make it tougher for banned users to just pop back up, a rating system that kind of gamifies your reputation, and even a way to monetize your own photos that puts you in total control. Now, that security deposit, it's a really key feature. I mean, it's less than £1, so you might think, what's the big deal? But its purpose is totally tactical. As Milana explains it, if a user gets banned for causing trouble, the small fee stops them from just creating a new profile with the same credit card. It's a small but pretty clever financial barrier to keep trolls out. And then there's this sex factor system, which basically turns the whole social dynamic into a kind of competition. Users actually rate each other on their looks and general vibe. The higher your rating, the more people see your profile. And he's even gamified it with real-world prizes, like exclusive designer gear for the top-rated users. So there's a real incentive to, play the game. And finally, the app has a feature that you might have seen on platforms like OnlyFans. Users can make private photo albums and then charge other users to see them. This is actually a pretty smart 2-for-1 feature. It lets users make a little money, but more importantly, it gives them complete and total control over who gets to see their more private content. But believe it or not, the app isn't his only creative project. To really get a full picture of who Paul Milana is, you kind of have to check out his other work, which leans heavily into the wild stories from his life as a security expert. For instance, he's also an author. He wrote a book called The Dressing Room, and it basically pulls the curtain back on his time protecting celebrities. It's described as a bunch of funny and sometimes pretty scandalous stories from a world that, let's be honest, most of us will never get to see. He's also got a video series with a title that, well, it tells you everything you need to know. It's called Tales of the Shitty. And in it, he shares what he calls these outrageous stories from his time working the door at some of the UK's most hardcore sex clubs. It's pure shock value comedy, all taken from his real-life experiences managing that kind of chaos. So, with all that said, let's circle back to the app itself. After looking at the guy who made it and all its unique features, we're left thinking about its core mission and really where it fits in the huge world of online dating today.
When you boil it all down, this is how Milana himself puts it. He wants to create, quote, authentic connections between masculine males in a secure, drama-free space. And really, that one sentence pretty much sums up the entire vision behind Only Male/Men.
And that leaves us with a really big question for right now. As the internet and our digital world keep pushing, rightly so, for more and more inclusion, what is the role, if there is one, for spaces that are built from the ground up to be exclusive? It's a really tricky idea and definitely one worth thinking about.